who you all know, but she is very dedicated to Unity Church and to her truth. So please welcome Rev. T. Driskell.
Thank you, Carrie. I'm just going to go into speaker mode here, and I welcome everybody to turn on their speaker mode. They have a chance to see me talk. So I am so grateful to be here today with each of you. And now I'm finally putting to rest this talk that I've been working on for 2 months. So it's been a lot of work. It's like just kept changing, and I couldn't figure it out because Elizabeth Sand Turner wrote some great books, but she is a lot like Charles Fillmore, and her writing was intense. So I had to go around in circles a bit to figure out what is her main theme and what is she really talking about. So that's what I did. I went ahead and I did that. And yeah, so I'm going to start with something that is a little different from what you might expect from a book from Unity. So I had to kind of start here to get out what I really want to say later. So we all kind of know the word namaste, right? We've heard it along our spiritual journeys, and most people go, what does that actually mean? So namas means to bow or to show reverence or adoration. And te is like tu en français, which means you. So therefore, namaste directly translates to being, I bow to you. This gesture, it embodies a profound sense of respect, and it is used for reverence when meeting people and connecting to people. But there has been an unfolding spiritual significance over the years that gives us more than a surface level connection or pleasantry, because it's really talking about recognizing the divine spirit within each of us. So when you offer namaste to someone, you're essentially saying the light within me honors and recognizes the light within you. So I'm going to leave you with that for now, and then we'll get back to this later. Okay. So I'm going to fill you in a little bit on Elizabeth Sand Turner, who is a Unity writer. I recommended some time ago that our leadership team do some series of talks. So this week begins part one of a 3-part series on Elizabeth Sand Turner's trilogy. Okay. She wrote 3 books that focus on the Bible, but from a Unity perspective. And as you know, at Unity, we metaphysically interpret the Bible. So I today will be talking a little bit about her work with the Gospels, and Anne will be back next week to discuss the book of Acts and then the letters following Acts in the New Testament. And then Debbie will be back the week after to discuss the Hebrew part of the Bible. But first, I'm going to affirm for you that Elizabeth Sand Turner is a brilliant writer. She really is. Her insights are actually really fabulous. And although, well, let's just say that I wish I could tell her that. So I have kind of sent her a prayer of gratitude along the way, just to say, wow, you did some really great work there. And if you read this trilogy, you'll see the entire Bible metaphysically interpreted, but done so differently than the Bible we have now, because those are definitions in the metaphysical Bible that we have. And I'm grateful for that Bible that Mark Hicks helped put together. But she does a talk. She reflects on those statements and what it really meant in a different way, a little more depth and heart in those interpretations. So given that it's called Your Hope of Glory. So that's what I'm doing today. So it was a thick read, but it was very meaningful. And that's why I wanted to persist. I didn't want to let this one go, because she really does bring a lot of treasures to Unity. So just to say that when I read a book, this is what I do. because it's just, books are so important to me. I've read so many, and I like to know about the author that I'm reading. And if I don't, well, it's not like I'm going to get through the book, because I really feel that it's important to understand their motivation, what inspires them, where they come from, who they essentially are, right? So, for instance, you could read a book about happiness by the Dalai Lama and trust what you're going to get. But you wouldn't want to read a book about happiness necessarily by Donald Trump, because you don't know what you're going to get. So that's why I check out my authors. I like to know what influences them and what is the heart behind what you're reading. So I went on a search, because the text itself, like I said, is a lot like Charles. So I said, well, then who is Elizabeth Sand Turner? And here's some of what I came up with. Excuse me. So it turns out, not only was she a marvelous writer for Unity, but you can really feel her devotion in the pages. She's someone who understands unity internally, who's living it, walking the walk and talking the talk. Her words were in tune with everyday life, with everyday discourse, with aliveness and abundance that Unity provides from within. So if you read, there's a book out there called The Unity Movement, and it is a history of unity by Neil Val. And this came out in 2002. And he said that Elizabeth Sand was born, she was born just Elizabeth Sand, July 5th, 1897 in Nashville. She was raised an Episcopalian, and she became interested in unity when her mother, Elizabeth as well, but Elizabeth Pierce Sand, visited Unity School in Kansas City on Tracy Avenue. That's where it was. Beautiful building on Tracy Avenue. And she received a healing. As you know, Unity is based on healing work, and that we've really lost touch with that at Unity. But that is our root, that is our foundation. And her mother was completely inspired by Unity after that. So he goes on to say that Elizabeth Sand Turner was director, she became a director eventually, of the Unity Training School, which is now Unity Ministries, and taught classes on the Bible and biblical interpretation the metaphysical way. He says she had 2 books, but we know she had 3 books. He said that let there be light, that's the Hebrew part, your hope of glory, that's the gospel part, and be ye transformed, that is the part of Acts and the letters that follow Acts in the New Testament. And these were written in the 1950s. She was said to be a brilliant speaker, and later she built a church in Florida, where she was a minister there for many years. So we know she was a prominent figure. She was a director of the ministry movement, and she worked at 2 churches, Nashville and Florida, having actually founded the Florida church. But Nashville is interesting because Nashville was founded by her mother. And she started a group study. So after her healing in 1910, she started a group study in 1916. And she began to unfold unity there. Elizabeth Pierce, not Elizabeth Sand. The study group eventually became the Unity Truth Center. They met just like we do. And we've been moving around a lot, all of us, to different centers. But they met at the old Maxwell House and the Tulane Hotel. So those names are familiar to me. They had various guest speakers that included Charles Fillmore. He was there on 2 occasions in Nashville. And the group was formally organized. So they became a church in 32, and they elected Elizabeth Sand Turner to be their first official minister in 33. She's the daughter of the founder, as I just said. And I was very excited to hear that she was the first minister, and she stayed for 12 years there. She would later go, like I said earlier, to Florida to found another church. So I just want to extend a gratitude to Elizabeth Pierce and Elizabeth Sand Turner for their great work. And just to point out that when Elizabeth Sand Turner graduated, she would have received an atypical kind of ordination. They didn't do it the way they do it now. Back then, they would have taken the graduate into a back room with Charles and Myrtle. They would have done something private and sacred. And then they would hand the minister a ticket to wherever they were going to go and open their church. That's pretty remarkable. Here's your ticket. You've been trained. Go off. I just love it. It's so typical of the United States and Canada. Here's the land. Do something with it. We'll send you west. We'll send you north. It's just so pioneering, which is what I love about that. They're actually, they did that to one of the ministers as well, out of Santa Barbara. She got a ticket just like that, was sent to Santa Barbara and founded a church, and it is magnificent. They have a beautiful church in Santa Barbara. So I wanted to also understand her daily word. What is a reflection of Elizabeth Sand Turner, not in a book, but in how she talks to people generally? So I found an article on her that was from her time at Nashville. And she said, here's what unity teaches. She says, we invite people to accept what they find helpful in their efforts to lift their consciousness to a higher level. Does that sound familiar? We do this. We ask, what are you searching for? And then we're going to help you with unity tools to unfold that. Our missions and visions in Kitchener and Ottawa are very similar and indicative of growing consciousness to transform lives. Elizabeth Sand also said, unity offers a comprehensive teaching to those who are seeking a deeper knowledge of spiritual things. She never once said, unity is a religion. She never said unity is a denomination. Like Charles and Myrtle have always said, unity is here to help you inform your consciousness. She also said that people may greatly benefit from a few constructive ideas, but in order to acquire the understanding that Charles contends underlies a substantial faith, a strong faith, that they should have a full grasp of the fundamental principles upon which unity teaching is based. So you create a foundation, and then you can explore anything. And that's why we're not a denomination. We help people understand and explore the path that they find most invaluable. She saw that there was depth in unity, and she wanted to extend it forward. So with all that in mind, now we know we've got a great writer who wrote some great books. She had a fundamental, deep respect for unity. So we know a little bit already then what your hope of glory is going to say. How amazing it's going to be because of all that love and all that wisdom within Elizabeth Sand Turner. And that's why she put out that trilogy and was able to go off and found an extra unity on top of being the director. So my goal in bringing her work to light is simply to draw from her awareness some of the deepest truth coming from a truly brilliant devotee. So the book, Your Hope of Glory, is a rich text. And I wanted to bring this to you so that I could help you understand the main theme that she derived out of the Gospels. So here's a quote. Charles actually said this originally. He said, surely there is indeed no greater, then he quotes the Bible, mystery which hath been hid for ages and generations, which is Christ in you, the hope of glory. So that's where she got her title, from First Colossians. So it's not actually out of the Gospels, which she's writing about in this book, Your Hope of Glory. She got it from Colossians 1, verse 26. But she used it because it was well known back then that Charles loved that statement, and he valued that quite significantly. So Christ in unity is the source of countless qualities from within, including the 12 powers, which we talk a lot about. And those help us affirm our health, our intelligence, our spiritual intelligence, our divine intelligence, our potential prosperity in each moment. So this is your hope of glory, to be the Christ and live the state consciously. That's the key to that book. Elizabeth Sand-Turner went on into that book to say, the difference between Jesus and us is not one inherent spiritual capacity, but a difference in demonstration of it. So we've all got the goods, but how often do you present it out to the world? She says Jesus was potentially perfect, and he expressed that perfection. We are potentially perfect, but have we not expressed it? She says the acorn carries the seed of the oak, yet until it takes root and grows into a tree, we do not call it an oak. Sounds to me like it is an evolving experience for us to grasp the ways into living the strength of that oak, to being that oak, the Christ. So unity has been quite driven by this philosophy for over a century, right from the beginning. And we are always in the potential to walk in the pathway that Jesus walked, to evolve that Christ within. Your hope of glory, in that we read a lot that leads to this statement. It is only when we've been awakened to a realization of the divine life in us, the Christ, that we are ready to give attention to the steps which must be taken in consciousness in order to express outwardly that which has been conceived inwardly. This is part of the value of Elizabeth Sand-Turner. She perpetuated that a lot with people. She wanted people to recognize the need wholeheartedly to take that living Christ within us and send it forward. So I thought about this and I thought, okay, how am I going to help with that inspiration into the world? How am I going to help Elizabeth Sand-Turner take this out into humanity the way she had hoped we would do? So how can I help you and me the way Elizabeth Sand-Turner might have wanted us to move forward? So I thought, well, what if on a regular basis, when greeting someone, we say namaste, but you say it by expressing the inner Christ. So what if today you had a different reflection of namaste and you said, namaste, today I see the spark of light within you, that is the Christ. So when you greet someone, you can say, today I see the spark within you, that is the Christ. Simply by saying namaste. You know the intention, and you can spread this forward. But then I thought, that's a lot to think about. You're going to go, what? What if you said instead, namaste, the Christ in me sees the Christ in you? This is an honoring. This is bowing to another with love, with compassion, with reverence. How would this change your worldview and life experiences if every time you saw somebody for the first time that day, that you said, Namaste, the Christ in me sees the Christ in you? That is powerful. And I believe wholeheartedly that Elizabeth Sand Turner would be really happy today if she knew we were going to try this. So let this be your call to action. Each time you meet someone for the first time that day, say inside of yourself or outwardly, it's up to you, Namaste. The Christ in me sees the Christ in you. Elizabeth Sand Turner was a woman who was deeply faith-filled and able to share with humanity the stirrings of her own heart, affirming that we can each feel and live the Christ within. Hence, your hope of glory. Please join me now in a gentle meditation. Just breathe in gently and slowly with your feet on the ground. Imagine your breath is coming from the earth, all the way up the top of your head, and then just breathe it all out. Do it again, just breathing from the earth. And just let that go gently and slowly. Gazing or having your eyes closed. Noticing that we are surrendering our body to its relaxed state and opening more and more to the spaciousness with God. That is the fulfillment of all our health, our happiness, and the fullness of all potential. Let us now surrender to the idea that we are each significantly aware at some level of consciousness, that the source of love within you is the living Christ. You are living this in the best way you can today. Allowing yourself to see and feel and know that greatness of the divine good, the divine excellence, the perfection of the human experience here on earth. We are each a part of this wondrous unfolding. It is a gift that continues to present itself to us. And now we are able to say yes to living in awareness of the living Christ. We are able to say yes to actualizing this living Christ within. We are able to say yes to bringing the living Christ to all our activities of life. When we are low, we allow the lesson to guide us back to happiness, because we understand that each moment is a new opportunity for growth through the living Christ. And when we fall, we get up at the pace we can, knowing that the living Christ is carrying us with love into the next moment. Breathing in and out gently, now remind yourself, I am the living Christ. And when I say this to myself, I feel lighter. I feel less and less heavy, and I'm beginning to lighten up, to feel a tenderness, a selflessness, and to feel centered in love and joy. When I say I am the living Christ, I realize that I walk and talk with the greater fields of consciousness that are of the highest reasoning, the greatest love, and the simplest of peace. When I say, I am the living Christ, I am able to affirm that I am that. And so it is. Thank you. And namaste.